Hi, my name is Brennan Boyda, and if you don't know me already, I'm one of the instructors for the Refrigeration and Air Conditioning program here at the college. And during wildfire season, we always get hit hard with the smoke here in the Okanagan and with the fires right now. I figured it would be good to help out how I can and teach people how to clean the air around us while we stay inside to try to stay as safe as possible. Now, in my first video, I went through how filters work, how MERV ratings work, how to put those filters in your systems at home. So if you have a central air system and you're just looking to put in some filters to help clean your air, go check out that video. And in this video, what I'm going to teach you to do is how to use filters like this that you can buy at the store to make a homemade air purifier. We'll get back to this guy in a second. So why am I making this video after I already made a video on how filters work and how you can use filters to keep your air clean? Now, I don't know about you, but I definitely notice whenever there's a wildfire and the air quality goes down, air purifiers blow off the shelves. Why? That's because nobody buys an air purifier until they need an air purifier. And because nobody buys them until they need them, the stores run out of stock very, very quickly. Just so you know, if in your home or wherever you're staying doesn't have an air purifier currently or a central air system, you still deserve to breathe clean air. And I'll teach you how to do that without buying an air purifier using some easy to find components that hopefully you either have around or you can easily go get from the store. So I'm going to show you how to make it in a couple different ways. First off, what are we going to need? We're going to need some tape. I'm just going to use clear packing tape here. You can use construction tuck tape or Scotch tape. You can use duct tape. I would prefer if you use like the Gorilla tape because duct tape itself actually does let air through it. A box cutter, or if you're okay with using your teeth, you don't need the box cutter. A box cutter will make your life easier, or some scissors or something along those lines. You're gonna need some filters. If you missed my first video, this is a MERV 11 filter. This is actually a 2-pack that I got locally. Hi, it's me. I just wanted to go over something really quick. In this video, you're gonna see me using a set of MERV 11 filters. And this was to show that you can use these filters to do this task, just because sometimes these are the only ones available and it might be more affordable buying them in the bulk packs for the sizes that you need. A MERV 13 filter will do the best job. I just noticed that whenever these are shown from other sources, they always say use a minimum of a MERV 13. If all you can get your hands on is a MERV 11, it will still do the job. It just takes a longer time because honestly, when it comes to cleaning the air that we breathe, doing a purification process that takes a little bit longer is way better than doing nothing at all. All right, so let's get back to it. There was tons of stock on these ones, so they are available. These ones will help clean out the air, even though they're not the MERV 13 that everybody is looking for right now. And a fan. Box fans are the favorite fan for this system. Just know if you don't have a box fan, that's okay. Just any sort of fan is what you'll need to make this homemade air purifier. People really like to use the box fans because they move a lot of air and it's easier to make the purifier. Once again, if you don't have a box fan, that's okay. It just means you're gonna have to get crafty with some cardboard. But we're making stuff by hand anyway, so a little extra step isn't that big of a deal when it means cleaning the air that we breathe. So let me just get this out of here. Of course, always be safe when using box cutters. One nice thing, I was just thinking about this as I'm pulling this guy out. About a lot of these fans, when you buy them, they come in a cardboard box. And if you can't get your hands on a box fan like this, you're gonna want that cardboard box, and you'll see why later. Easy peasy, right? Of course, instructions, good to have. Always read your instructions, know what you're using. Unfortunately, those instructions won't tell you how to make your own homemade purifier. So we got our fan out of the box, right? Perfect. We're going to set that aside for now. I'm actually going to show you a couple different variations for how to do it with this fan. Because you don't need this many filters. You can just use one filter and one fan. Why is that? Well, I'll show you why. So if you can only get your hands on one filter or you can only afford one filter, that's okay. You still get air purification. Okay, so we have to understand how a fan works. Now, a fan works by pulling air through the back and forcing it through the front, right? So knowing actually how the air flows is really important because it shows us where to put our filter. Now on a fan like this, like I said, the air is gonna come in through the back and out through the front. So when you put your hand in front of it, you're gonna feel it blowing against your hand. We're gonna take this filter, we're gonna point the arrow that's on the filter right there, and we're actually going to put that on the back of the fan. You could just tape that in place right now, and since this box fan is a 20-inch fan, and I have a 20 by 20 filter, if I just tape that filter to the fan, guess what? That's a homemade air purifier. Done. Easy. If you don't have a box fan, that's okay. You still only need one filter. You can take whatever shape of fan, let's say this is a circle, take the cardboard box it came in, or an Amazon box that I'm sure everybody has at home, and just cut out the shape of your fan into the box. We're gonna disassemble the box, break it down, which we should be doing anyway. Depending on the size of your fan, you might want to keep it all one big piece. Like if you got a tower fan, you can just keep it long. If you have a circular fan, I would suggest cutting off one of these pieces. So let's say you have a circular fan. Funnily enough, in this whole shop of refrigeration and HVAC goodies, I don't have a circular residential fan. So I'm just gonna use a bucket to show you. What we're gonna do, let's say that this is the back of our fan, right? We're gonna take that fan, we're gonna put it onto the piece of cardboard. We're gonna cut out the shape of the fan, right? Simple enough. Set our fan aside. Let's now cut our cardboard. So we're cutting our cardboard saying that this could be for a circular fan, but just remember this could work for any fan whatsoever. What we're doing is we're just trying to find a clear way to attach the filter to the fan, right? So we could do this with any shape. It doesn't have to be a circle. It doesn't have to be the ideal box fan. We can do this with whatever we can get our hands on currently, right? Sometimes we have to get resourceful just due to what's available, right? A lot of people are looking for box fans right now because there's no air purifiers, and most people only know how to do this with a box fan. And I just wanted to show you, you can do it with any shape of fan as long as you got some cardboard. There we go. If I just have the one filter, let's say the back of the bucket is the back of the fan, I could tape it on there. Now, making sure that the arrow is pointing towards the back of the fan, we're gonna be sucking all the air that's coming through this fan through this filter, thus cleaning the air that we breathe. Now, that's with one filter. That is being a little bit scrappy. That's okay, that's great. Sometimes we have to be. So ideally what we can do is actually buy a couple filters. So as I stated before, I got a 2-pack of MERV 11 20 by 20 by 1 filters. I actually picked up 2 of these. So now we have our 4 filters and we have our fan. What do we do next? We are going to build a box. How are we going to build a box? Well, we're going to build a box out of the filters. One important thing to note is when we're making our square, we're going to want to make sure that arrow is pointing inward. Why? Because we want to make sure that the air passes through the filter before it gets blown out by the fan. Easy. So simple enough. We're going to take 2 of our filters like that. We're going to pull out our tape and we're going to tape them together. We're just going to tape those edges together. Nice and simple. Look at that. We already have half of our square. So I'm going to get that done and then we'll tune back in at the next step. Now, one thing I'll point out while I'm putting this thing together, the reason I like to use the 20 by 20 by 1s is I have a 20-inch box fan, so I don't have to make any adjustments and I don't have to use any cardboard, but also makes for a really nice square. And sometimes just having things go together easily is super important when you're doing stuff that you're not always the most comfortable with. So having it come together fairly clean and easily can really help us feel confident in what we're doing. I like to make sure that my ends are matching on what's on the inside, what's on the outside. This helps it sit a little bit more square, and it will actually make it a little bit more strong. Because being made out of taped together filters, this isn't the most hardy system. So if you got kids or pets in the home, just try to keep it out of the way. Right, so there you go, simple as that. Just tape your 4 filters together, make sure it's solid. Try to keep the tape on just the cardboard of the filters. If you put tape on here, just know you're gonna be blocking off some airflow that's gonna go through. So if you keep the tape on the cardboard, it just keeps everything more efficient. But as you see, there it is. I got all the arrows pointing inward. Now for the grand finale, mounting the fan. Since I got a box fan, nice and easy. It's just gonna sit on top like that, make sure the cord is on the outside, and I'm just gonna tape all the way around, making sure I put some tape on any gaps that might be up here on the top, which thankfully for me, there's gonna be none. But if you weren't able to get a box fan, remember that piece of cardboard we cut out earlier? This one, look at that. Sits on top. You're gonna tape that into place, and that's gonna hold your fan. Remember, the back of the bucket is the back of the fan. Put that there, tape it in place. You're off to the races. So I'm putting the back of the fan on the top of the filters. Remember, we're pulling air in, then up and out. I'm gonna tape that up, and after that, I'll plug it in and I'll show you how well it works. Now, the cord is going to make it that it doesn't sit perfect. That's okay. If you put your tape on carefully, you can make sure you make a seal with the tape all the way around the cord. It's still gonna be better than nothing, right? Look at that. That is nice and sealed around that cord. One thing I wanna point out, the bottom is open on this one. So if you are going onto hardwood floor, if you're going onto carpet and you want to close up the bottom, you could put another filter there. Carpet will allow air to be pulled up from the bottom. Do you remember that box we had? You could actually take this bottom piece here and there you go. Now it's sitting on a base. I would tape that up, make sure it's sealed. That way, the only air that will be pulled through this unit is actually pulled through the sides. All right, let's plug it in really quick and I'll show you how well it cleans the air. We're just gonna turn this fan on, going in. That PM 2.5 at 94.8, what we're looking at. All right, after giving it a couple minutes to do its thing, look at that. We're dropping right down on this guy. Look at that, down to 16.6 already. That's exactly what we're looking for. And just once again to show what the air going into that filter is looking like. All right, so that is a homemade air purifier that we made out of a simple fan that you might have laying around at home or that you could pick up, and some filters. So hopefully this video was helpful. You got to build your own air purifier. If you found this video helpful, please share it with somebody who you think would benefit from watching this. Once again, I have another video breaking down the filters and what we're looking for in this wildfire season. Hopefully this helped. Stay safe out there.